All the change comes soon. The time of the planet change is now and soon. They are where they are supposed to be, and they will help how they are supposed to help.
Hello, hello. My name is Jake Ray. I'm a certified hypnotist practicing regression, progression, and qhht, which I'm a level 2 practitioner of that technique. If you want to know more about my practice, definitely check my link down below for my website, and you can also reach out to me that way if you are interested in a session of your own. Oh, and make sure you don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone who you think might be interested in this Earth update also. All right, so it's not often that in a hypnosis session we get this sort of a collective message. We're focused on the client, we're focused on that individual, and yet when something like this does come through, it's certainly important that we share it out. And my client Tony agreed. They were really excited to share this information with the collective because it's super fascinating, and I think really confirms a lot of other people in the spiritual community as well as the astrology of 2025 and what is coming. So I'm sharing this now as we close out 2024 because I want you to get that heads up. I think this information is fascinating, and I look forward to seeing how it plays out in 2025. So as you heard in that first clip that I played, the Earth changes have begun and they're going to continue. No surprises there. I think if you are following along with the evolution of not only humanity but of the planet, you'll know that this is all right on time. And I think if you are aware of the astrology as well, it's another confirmation of what we're seeing play out in the world and in our individual lives. I wanted to mention quickly before we jump in, because I did ask some more questions and I got to get us some more information on what was coming, and I'm going to play that clip for you. But before I do play that, I wanted to mention how this information is coming through, who it's coming through. So if you've watched my former videos, you'll know about the higher self, the subconscious, and it was during the conversation with my client's higher self that this information came through. And they made sure there was a bit about Tony and Tony's place in all of this. They were made sure to mention that Tony was on track, that they were where they were supposed to be, that they would be helping out in the ways that they were supposed to help out. And I left that bit in because this is a message that I hear often in client sessions, and I think most of us can use that reminder. We can oftentimes feel overwhelmed or off track or unsure of where we are on our path. And so often when clients come into a session, that is a message that the higher self has for them, that they're on track, that they are where they're supposed to be, that they're going to do what they're supposed to do. And so I left it in because it's a great reminder, and I think that bears mentioning again. All right, let me play the entire exchange for you, my discussion with the higher self. I wanted to play it in its entirety. I only cut out a few long pauses just to make it a little easier to listen to and flow a little bit quicker, because sometimes there can be pauses as the information flows. But I wanted to play it even though it is a couple minutes long, because I think it's valuable. So let me play that, and then we will talk more about it.
They will come next year. The other among you will be revealed, and they will return to where they came from.
Sorry, can you clarify who you mean by others?
Not from this planet.
Do you mean those like who have come from elsewhere, or?
Not incarnated.
Oh.
Those in their form on this planet.
Those from off-world.
Yes.
And are these characters, do they have positive intent, or are they here to help humanity?
Some. Most, not all. We are not worried about those.
Hmm. And when you say that they will be revealed, so we humans, we will know who they are, and then they will leave?
Most will leave, yes. Some will stay.
Hmm.
Not all will believe.
Hmm. And are these beings in disguise? Do they look like humans, or
Some,
I suppose the ones that interact with us?
some,
Okay. And they will leave. Is that just a step in the process of the planet's evolution, or what's motivating them to leave?
they have done what they came to do.
Mm.
They want to return to their homes.
Mm-hmm.
This is not a pleasurable place for most beings.
Is there anything else that you're able to share, or it's appropriate to share at this time about this transitionary period?
Do not be afraid. That's all.
All right. Okay, so wow, lots to talk about here, and I definitely want to get into all the different parts of it. I definitely, as always, thought of a million more questions that I would have loved to ask afterwards, and there were definitely some that I wanted to ask throughout, but obviously we only have so much time, and the priority is the client. All right, let's get into it. Let's break it down. And of course, if you have your own thoughts, your own ideas, please put it down in the comment. I'd love to hear what you think, and if you agree with kind of my breakdown here. So, as you heard, I asked about these upcoming changes, and I wanted to know what they had to say, because there are lots of opinions out there, lots of ideas about how it could play out, and my dealings with the future are that it is very malleable, and it is very much dependent on moment to moment decisions. Free will is going to shape and transform the future as we move into it. I think that remembering that context of the future and the free will aspect, and the ways that it is malleable and it can change, is really important, because a lot of people get hung up on all the little details of fortune telling, of divining the future. The more that we can understand the complicated nature of the quantum, that we can understand how things might not play out exactly the way that it's shown in a moment, right? Timelines are such complicated things, and so yeah, just wanted to bring that in, talk about that. But asked about these changes, and I wanted to know what they said. So, as you heard, Tony's higher self said they'll come next year. The other among you will be revealed, and they will return to where they came from. And obviously, I asked the very obvious question of who are these others? Can you clarify? So when I asked that question, they said, not from this planet. And to give you a little context, so this session with Tony illuminated the information that Tony, this was their first incarnation, that they had never incarnated before on Earth. They had never been here. They had never incarnated. They had come directly from Source and from the light to bring that light and shine it here. This is one way that starseeds incarnate, is directly from Source, and they are typically coming in to bring that love and that light from Source and shining that into this earth plane to help raise our frequency, right? So I think that context is important. So what I asked next was, do you mean someone like Tony, someone who came from elsewhere, a starseed? And they said, not incarnated, those in their form on this planet. So not incarnated, those in their form on this planet. And I asked, you mean off-worlders? And I probably could have just said aliens, or I could have just said ETs, and just kind of like cut to the chase. I don't know. It's this sometimes this fear that I'm gonna be asking too specific of a question or using language that isn't quite right. Um, just my own worries. But I asked those from off-world, meaning ETs, meaning aliens, those who are from somewhere else, right? And they confirmed yes. So let's just stop there and break that down a little bit. So I have definitely heard other people talk about this phenomenon, these off-worlders, these ETs who are in their own form here on this planet, uh, and so this was very fascinating to have confirmation of, and I definitely wanted to know more about that. Um, and we'll get to the bit about returning to where they came from, because I'm we'll get there, but I wanted to know uh, if these people, if these beings, I call them characters, do these characters have positive intent, or are they here to help humanity? I was trying to understand. I was trying to understand. So they said some, most, not all. We are not worried about those, which I think is a beautiful message. Not to worry about those who might not have humanity's best and highest good in mind. Not to worry about those who may have more nefarious intentions, and it's not about ignoring them or pretending that they don't exist or they're not out there, but it's about where are you putting your focus, right? And it's about staying out of that fear frequency and um, staying in the higher vibe emotions, higher vibe feelings, because when we drop into fear and we're in that fear frequency, um, not great. So very interesting stuff. Next, I asked them, when you say that they will be revealed, are we as humans going to know? Like, is this going to be like something that we're consciously aware of? That was my aim there in asking that question. And they said most will leave, yes, some will stay. So that was interesting clarification, which, kind of makes sense. There's a wide variety of beings here on this planet sharing space with us, and I'm sure there's a variety of reasons they're here, tasks they're doing, right? I mean, there's lots of people who have looked into this, and I think that understanding that there's a little bit of complication or nuance to all of these beings and what they're doing and why they're here, it makes sense that maybe not all of them would leave immediately. What I think was interesting that they said next was that not all will believe, which totally makes sense, right? We even have now where more and more proof, per se, more and more evidence, more and more photos and videos and etc. of UFOs and ETs are out there, and yet there are still those who believe and those who don't. And I love, there was a quote by Dolores Cannon. She said something along the lines of, there will never be enough evidence for the skeptic, and the believer doesn't need evidence, or something along those lines. I'm not saying it exactly, and I think I don't remember where she said it or what she said, but that idea of belief and believing what you see or what you don't see, right? I think it's interesting to reflect on, and makes a lot of sense, especially as we see the timeline splitting, as we see people choosing kind of their path. And of course, this is not judgment on the path that you choose, because all experience is good in the eyes of source, right? We're all experiencing something different and unique, and we're all here for a purpose and a journey. So anyway, back to what came through. So I said that was interesting. Are these beings in disguise? Do they look like humans, or some of our friends and neighbors, ETs that we're not aware of? And I love, love, love when the higher self is just painfully literal. It's like, okay, yes, I asked that question and you gave me an accurate answer, but like, read into the nuance of what I'm wanting to find out here. But it always makes me chuckle and reminds me to refocus on my question, ask another one. Sometimes you gotta dig for that information. Anyway, when I asked if they're in disguise, if they look like humans, the response was some. And I asked, or what I said after that was, I suppose the ones that interact with us, because in my head, if they're interacting with us, they've got to have some disguise. They said some, some of them that interact with us. And so then I said, can you clarify on why this is happening? Is this just a step in the planet's evolution? What's motivating these characters, these beings to leave? Because at this point, I'm realizing that there's nuance to why they're here. There's nuance to their intentions. There's nuance to how they appear, how they show up. What form they are taking here on this planet. What's motivating them? We want to know. What Tony's higher self said was that they have done what they came to do. They want to return to their homes. And then my favorite part of this was, this is not a pleasurable place for most beings. Which, of course, I chuckled to in the session as well. And I think a lot of us starseeds can resonate with that feeling of the challenge of this physical realm. I know Tony and I talked about that quite a bit. The challenges that this density, this physical reality can pose, and that's for those of us who have incarnated. Imagine how that might be for beings in their own form who come here. And I know that certainly other people have talked about this phenomenon. Dolores wrote a lot about her research into ETs and UFOs and the different ways that they did show up in their form and not in their form on this planet, the ways that they worked with humans in their form and not on their form. So all in all, great confirmation of what we know, but very interesting to hear that confirmation that they've done what they needed to do. They fulfilled their purpose and they're looking to go home. So at this point I asked, is there anything else that you want to share? Is there anything else that's appropriate to share at this time? We were running a little close on time, and I wanted to make sure that the client is taken care of. That's always my biggest concern. And their parting message, the higher self's last words were, "Do not be afraid." That is all. I think that we all experience this in times of change, and I think when it's personal change and the collective is stable, you at least have some level of stability in the broader sense, on the larger scale, when you're not only going through that intense personal transformation, but then the collective as well, the world is going through a huge transitionary period. It can be overwhelming. It can be frightening. It can be anxiety inducing. And I think that to bring it back to what I said before, the fear frequency is what we want to stay out of. And I think that especially talking about a topic like this, where fear can often come up, especially for those who have had negative experiences with ETs, who have had more of those abduction type experiences, even for those who are non-believers, who don't believe in ETs or UFOs or life beyond this planet. I think especially for those folks who are aware of, on more of that subconscious level, these energetic changes and shifts, but are not necessarily consciously working in it the same way that people who are on their awakened journey are. And so I think that this message of staying out of fear, of making sure that we are not feeding into that and not allowing ourselves to stay there, is the key. And that's, I think, important to mention as well. It's not a matter of never ever feeling fear, or never ever feeling anger, or never ever feeling shame. These are all more lower frequency, um, like feelings, vibrations, emotions. And it's not a matter of never feeling them, but it's how do you shift yourself out of it, and how do you stay in uh, the positive, stay in the love, stay in that light. And it's about where we focus. It's about how we take care of ourselves, not only our physical bodies, because that's super important. We're in this 3D world, taking care of our physical, but taking care of our spiritual, taking care of our emotional. And I think that these are all ways that we can support ourselves as we enter into this new year, as we enter into even more of these big, huge shifts and changes. And, there's a lot out there about how this sort of disclosure could play out. And I certainly have my own ideas and theories and thoughts. And, let me know if you want to hear those in another video. But I wanted to leave it at kind of the message here, give you a little bit of my breakdown, or what I saw and heard. And I think the more that we again hold the high vibration, that we don't allow ourselves to slip into fear, that helps us to manifest that higher timeline and that higher expression of these energies. And I think that, especially with a topic like this, remembering that, like the higher self said, most of the beings who are here for our higher good. They are here for support. Yeah, yeah, that's about it. So let me know down below if you have more thoughts on this, if you want to give your opinions, give your ideas of how this might play out. I mean, there's obviously ways that public disclosure could happen, but I think especially with the nuance of some believing and some not, is it going to be something a little more natural, or more of that bottom up disclosure rather than top down disclosure, like all of us, the collective, realizing what's going on, seeing those people disappear, or seeing those people for what they truly are, and and then they leave. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers. I definitely look forward to the next discussion I get to have with the higher self, with these higher dimensional beings around this topic. I certainly find it so fascinating. If you watch my channel, you know ETs, UFOs are some of my favorite topics, uh, and yeah, I love sharing it with y'all. So before we go, I did want to do just a quick little hit of my 432 hertz tuning fork. This is tuned to the heart chakra. It is a holiday gift that I just got, and it's magical. I always, before I record a video, I always put my hand on my heart and tune in to my heart energy, and really make sure that that's where I'm coming from when I am putting these videos together. And so I thought that it was apt that I play the heart chakra frequency vibration to close this out, and to share that with y'all, because I think the more we can get out of our head and into our heart, the easier staying out of that fear is, and the more that we can stay working with those higher frequencies and higher energies. So let me play this for you quick. All right. On that note, all of the love and light to you all, and bye for now.